This is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV, with the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt, and Steve Goff. Now, from the mobile Duckett Brothers Distributing Studios at the stadium, this is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show.
Coming to you from the studios of the Lansing Sports Network, this is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, brought to you by Price Right RV on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker. Let Price Right RV show you how to experience all Michigan has to offer in a new RV. Time to get out and enjoy the outdoors, even in the wintertime. Visit Price Right RV in DeWitt on Old 27 and PriceRightRV.com. Don't plan your vacation. Own your vacation with a new RV from Price Right. See Doug and his team and tell him we sent you. I'm your host, Steve Goff from the Lansing Sports Network, joined by the longest tenured sports broadcaster in the state and one big turkey on this Thanksgiving weekend, Tim Staudt. Catch him on Staudt on Sports weekdays from 9 to noon beginning Monday. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the guy joining us in the studio is one of the faces of the future of WILX Sports, Mr. Ben Shockley. The man holding it all together behind the glass, Brock Palmbush. We're here till 5:30 ahead of the 7 p.m. kickoff in our studios, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. They never drop the ball. Well, guys, after Game 11, it just is what it is anymore, right? Spartans play good ball, as the song says, for the first three quarters. Sometimes even into the fourth, but they simply can't finish. And the end of this game against Iowa was easily winnable by MSU. And a fourth quarter to forget was once again in the cards. It was good to see Jack Velling get 8 passes for 88 yards. Krishan McCray got some love with a couple of touchdown passes from Alessio, who once again did all he could to lead the Spartans. But a questionable offensive line and maybe some clock mismanagement ultimately led to the demise of the Spartans last Saturday, Tim.
It was just another incredible loss. I was at the hockey game, and by the time I left to go when it was 17-10, and I couldn't believe how poorly Iowa had played offensively in that game. I mean, they were only in the game because of their punt returner, and when I got to the hockey game, there was 4 minutes to go, and I figured the state, they're due to win. They're going to win. Iowa's done nothing to deserve this on offense other than the punt return kid, and then son of a gun, they start throwing it downfield and score, and then they get it back with a few seconds to go. And I thought this guy's going to make the field goal because it states here for anything that can go wrong can go wrong. I thought that was as tough. I mean, look, they've had 2 Big Ten losses. The 2 that were not by double figures, Minnesota and Iowa, I thought those were games that they let get away, that they very easily could have won either one of them. But I think Iowa helped. I just could not believe what Iowa's game plan was offensively for 3 quarters till they were forced to open it up at the end. And why they didn't do it from the start is beyond me. But at the end of the day, 20-17 Iowa, and here we are with a game tonight, which I don't think they picked Ford Field with one team with 7 straight losses and the other with 8 straight. So somebody's going to end a streak tonight.
What were you calling it on the Staudt on Sports show
I called
this
it
week?
the Hurricane Bowl, which they both won a bowl. It's a Hurricane Bowl because you got 2 natural disasters going at it.
I love that. I was saying stoppable force versus movable object.
And yet I've got Maryland's defensive stats in front of me, and despite the fact that Michigan got 45 on them, they've got some incredibly good defensive stats for the year that they have had. Because they're like State. They've hung in there, and they have a very promising freshman quarterback who's had a year where he's got some marks that nobody else in college football from a freshman standpoint has. And remember, we got freshman quarterbacks at Michigan and Ohio State, too. Mm-hmm. But this kid for Florida, this is what they're banking on for the future at Maryland, is this quarterback's going to keep getting better. Malik Washington. He's the real deal.
Well, this quarterback from last week for Iowa, the winningest quarterback in NCAA history, is that what I kept hearing?
Well, not at Iowa.
A lot of wins at the FCS level.
South Dakota
At the
State.
FCS level, okay, yeah.
I don't know why they didn't let him play. They
Yeah.
just handed the ball off to his backs for 2 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, third down, 5, incomplete. I mean, I for the life of me, the only reason they were even in the game was because of the punt return kid.
Well, every time he dropped back in the first, 3 quarters, it was either sack or incomplete pass. I mean, they couldn't
He didn't look great.
No, receivers weren't getting open, and he liked to tuck it and run, and he didn't really have a lot of room to do that.
Say what you want about this season and these coaches, but the State played hard.
They did.
State played hard.
They did, and last week I was saying, what is MSU playing for, right? They're just playing because these games are on the schedule, and that's not the attitude that we saw at all last week. I mean, they absolutely were motivated. What's motivating them? I don't know, but they were firing out. They were there.
They were on,
to the point where they're a favorite tonight.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I like State.
Yeah, I knew that throughout the week you'd been saying that.
Now, the moment I say that.
But you just put the Dean curse on him.
Well, I mean, look, obviously tonight one of the issues is which one of these teams could care less if either of them do, and which one of them wants it more if either of them do. I have no idea what Maryland's frame of mind is. The difference is, though, Maryland is telling the world we're bringing Mike Locksley back for an 8th season, and whatever name, image, and likeness money we can get, we're giving to the players for next fall. Because they say, like to me, Michigan State must feel, we got to get better players.
What do you think they see in Mike Locksley?
Well, look, who are they going to get?
Yeah.
He's been there 7 years. They'd been to 3 or 4 consecutive bowl games, right? I mean, he'd got them stabilized. I mean, I think there's some realism here. And they don't have, believe me, their money issue. They got out of the ACC to get in the Big Ten simply because of money. They just simply didn't have enough money from the ACC, so they moved to the Big Ten. Well, it's still an issue there. I mean, are they ever going to contend for the National Football Championship? I don't see that. But I think they think this guy's, he's hung in. He's had some success. He's a pretty good recruiter. And he does have a quarterback that, providing that he stays at Maryland, and I would think he will be if they're going to improve the name, image, and likeness. I mean, this guy's had some success. He moved the Michigan game score to me is misleading. It was much closer than 45-20. It got away at the end last week. But now, what's Maryland's frame of mind coming into the final game of the season? Frustrated like Michigan State's frustrated? I have absolutely no idea.
And to the point of keeping Locksley at Maryland, he's been a quarterback developer over the years. I mean, when he was at, can't remember exactly who the quarterback was when he was at Alabama, but they were good. And then he's developed, Talia Tagovailoa had a very good college career at Maryland, and now another freshman quarterback that, as Tim said, a lot of promise shown this season. And I think Locksley's a good guy to have in the building when you've got a young quarterback that you want to develop.
This is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV. Steve Goff here, along with Ben Shockley and, of course, the Dean, Tim Staudt. Well, Ben, back to this Iowa game. I don't want to let this go just quite yet. As you watch the Spartans take on Iowa, did you ever have a sense of hope in this game?
Well, I didn't watch. I was in Gaylord covering the Pewamo Westphalia high school football semifinal. They lost. Second play to Menominee, but as I got in my car and made the 2.5-hour trek back to Lansing, I heard that Dalton say the score, right? And it was it wasn't 10-3, it was 17-3. Mm-hmm. And I had to check my radio dial, or 17-7, my bad.
Yeah.
I had to check my radio dial, make sure I was getting the right game because it wasn't what I was expecting to hear. And then I sort of caught it right at the peak, right, and listened to the fourth quarter as, the Spartans went 3 and out, and Iowa moved the ball for the first time in the game.
If you didn't know who was who, you would have thought Michigan State was the 16.5-point favorite the way they both played.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, to me, very few games are determined early on by punt returns. The only thing that kept Iowa from going haywire is that that kid had 2 or 3 great punt returns, one of them for a touchdown. But the one that ended the game in the end for 40 yards is the one that kept him in it. Look.
But you had to know that coming in. He's been their best player for the last 2 seasons.
So why punt
and they
to
keep
him?
punting to him.
I mean, 3 or 4 times, they quick kicked it to get when he wasn't back there because they thought, they're going for it on 4th down, but then he would quick kick it. I thought Iowa would finally figure that out and drop him back because they knew that Milivojevic, he would adjust back. Well, now he's going to quick kick it because that's what he did the first time. But it was one time quick kick too few because the one he needed to. I mean, it's amazing they could win the game the way they did with punt returns, but that's what they did.
I thought that it was one of the best MSU coaching decisions of the season to have Alessio do those quick kicks.
Yeah. There were a handful of decisions that Jonathan Smith made in this game. I don't know if they came from him or his coordinators. They did some little trickeration plays a couple times, and they were throwing short passes and things of that nature. And I was like, this is good play calling. I mean, they're finally getting their stuff together, only to have that kind of go south in the fourth quarter. What do you think happened in the fourth?
Iowa opened it up.
Yeah, they did. And what you just said, and it's sort of what Tim has been saying since the Indiana game, is Michigan State, when they're moving the ball, it's short, quick completions. They're not letting Alessio sit back there, make a long read, try to get something deep down the field, because the offensive line can't protect him for long enough to do that.
But that was Childs. See, I'm not convinced this quarterback thing. First of all, there will be a different quarterback next year, I think, one way or the other.
Yeah,
I think one way or the other. These two guys, I don't see either one of them. But I claim, it's just an argument, we'll never know. Had Childs started, he was hurt, so that's one reason. If he played, in my opinion, if he'd have played the last three games, they would have won at least one of them, because he gives them a dimension. And he's the guy that hit 20 in a row against Indiana. It wasn't Milivojevic, it was Childs. And when he did hit 20 in a row, they were running the ball too. To me, that was their formula, but they got away from that because they changed quarterbacks because of injury. I claim if Childs would have played. Do I think he's a great quarterback? No. Do I think he misses passes? Yes. But to me, what he does do, they might have won both of these games, and I don't know how it would have played out with Penn State. But remember now, in those three games that Milivojevic played, how many points did they score? They didn't score very much. Right. So say what you want, they still didn't score very many points.
It's just a different level of confidence, I think. And our stat of the game is brought to you by Schupan Recycling, and it's 154-80, and that was the rushing yardage for Iowa and for MSU, respectively. It was a pretty good battle back and forth, to be honest. Both defenses played well, but ultimately MSU's offensive line just wasn't able to provide holes, and the play calling wasn't able to yield many big running plays either. I can't figure out how they don't get into a groove with their play calling. But throughout the season, Tim, that's been an issue. And you and I have talked about MSU's run game or lack thereof. So what is it? Is it the line? Is it the backs? Is it the lack of talent? Is it the play calling? Some kind of combination thereof?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Well, that's...
I'm with you there.
Yep. Yep.
It just seems like they have flashes of brilliance, and I think that's what can be really frustrating as a fan watching the game.
We talked on Tuesday, I guess it was, on the daily radio show. I can only imagine how this entire program is going to look different next September when they open against Toledo. Who knows how all of this is going to change? And so we were guessing during the week. You can answer this, too. You can guess like you and Ben can guess. We asked the question, Brock and I asked him, how many of the 22 starters tonight for Michigan State, 11 offense, 11 defense, for whatever reason, how many of those 22 will not be in uniform to open the 2026 season? So I guessed 15. I think, Brock, you said 14. Is that what it was? Brock said 14. And Owen was with us, and he said 14. I don't know what the magic – and I don't know how they're all going to be gone.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ways that you can get players and lose players. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking there's going to be a massive turnover for one reason or another, coaching staff or not. There's going to be a massive turnover. Who comes in with the portal? Who goes out with the portal? Who signs next month from the high school ranks that verbally committed? I just think you're more of the same you're not going to see.
It's talent, Ben.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think the number 14 or 15 might even be
little
low.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't think a lot of these players are back next year, and I think that could be the case for Maryland as well. If you think about the 44 starters on the field, there's not going to be a lot that come back.
Which is the nature of college football.
I was just going to say, it's happening everywhere.
It's the nature of the sport, the way it is, the way this thing – it also came up on Tuesday. Okay, so now for some of these teams that are going to qualify for bowl games, how many of their own players will pull out of the bowl games because they either want to go to the portal healthy or they want to get ready for the NFL draft healthy? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
That's next, right?
And that's your Spartan Stat of the Game, presented by Schupan Recycling. As leaders in metal and plastic processing at Schupan, our commitment to a better world goes beyond recycling. All right, time to get you rolling with the Spartan Tailgate Show weather report in just a few, brought to you by Feldman Chevrolet. You're listening to the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV, live on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker. We'll be back with more after this.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
Welcome back to the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV. I'm Steve Goff, along with the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt, and Ben Shockley from WILX, on the air with you till 5:30 from the warm and friendly confines of the Lansing Sports Network studios, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Tim, did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did. I wondered through the week, given the fact that we're right around freezing today, but not some big heavy-duty snowfall, would this game have drawn more spectators in Spartan Stadium as opposed to Ford Field? Because Ford Field likely is going to be a little sparse tonight, to the extent that, I mean, it almost seems embarrassing to me that they advertised if you bought a ticket to the game tonight, you get 2 more free if you want them. I was going to try to get 2 more free and then sell you 2 and see if you were vulnerable. See if you were gullible.
I think the Division I state championship game tomorrow is going to be – or no, the Division II state championship game tomorrow. My bad.
Are you skipping the Division III state championship with my DeWitt Panthers?
I just don't think they can draw the crowd.
Division III won't draw the crowd.
The
Division
end of the point was, I think the Division II and the Division I state championship games will be better attended.
Although
you could be right.
You got 2 unbeaten teams in Division III, so yeah, there will be people there. I mean, look, how many people will there actually be in the? I mean, Maryland's not going to have anybody
hold on a
there.
Minute. You're crazy talk here for a second. We got to take a time out. You know that this game was officially sold out. According to ESPN.
Which game?
The Michigan State-Maryland game. So how can they be giving away tickets at this point?
They're giving away 2 tickets. If you bought one, there's a code that and they'll give you 2 tickets free. They advertise it in all the newspapers. It's been. I mean, I've got it right here for if you want to.
It must have been a misprint then.
No.
It had to be a misprint about it being sold out, because I was shocked when I saw that.
Trust me, it's not sold out.
Yeah,
to Ben's point, some of these high school sessions tomorrow are going to probably be competitive with what's there tonight.
And it's the Division I tomorrow. I misspoke.
But you're right. It's
not only that. You walk up to Ford Field at the entrance tonight. Who knows? I mean, there must be people standing outside that'll make sandwiches out of whatever these. Look, it didn't work out the way they hoped, right? Because who knew that you'd have 2 teams with these losing streaks? I mean, when they played Penn State in Harlan Barnett's year, State hadn't done anything, but Penn State was having a big year. Its fans traveled. Mm-hmm. All right, it was easy for them to get to Detroit. They were going to be inside, so there's no weather issue there, and we'll win the game. I was there that night and had a great time. The game stunk, but the atmosphere...
Yeah, the atmosphere was great.
But this atmosphere won't be anything close to that.
So, what times are these when the high school finals are outdrawing 2 universities?
You got one fan base who's the home team here that is ambivalent. So plus, it's a holiday. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved in this, okay? And for me to tell you exactly how many people are going to be, I can't do that. All I can tell you, the facts are, if you bought a ticket, there's a code that you can get 2 more tickets on your phone free.
How does this bode for the future of Michigan State? Because this may not be limited to Ford Field next year, Ben. How do you feel about the attendance and what we should anticipate for coming into the games next year?
Well, I think coming into this year, there wasn't any positive momentum coming into this year off of previous seasons, and you saw Spartan Stadium fill up for those first 3 games, the first 4, really every home game filled up early, and the fans showed up. And I think Penn State was the worst showing from the fan base, understandably so. But again, the stadium was full for even the UCLA game when there's absolutely no momentum for this team, and it was empty by halftime, but that was because of the product on the field. So I do think, like, the start of the season, you're always going to have the fan base show up, but if you don't give them early returns next year, and like we talk about, we don't know that the players are coming back. We don't even know who's going to be on this team next year. I can't predict if you're going to see those early returns. But if you don't see them, yeah, I think once you get into conference play, the stadium could be empty. You could be seeing a lot of
– Let's see who they play. They got 7 home games. They open with Toledo and Eastern Michigan.
Okay.
And then they go to Notre Dame. Now, they have not assigned dates for the 9 conference games, but they get 5 home games in the league. They play host to Illinois, Nebraska, Northwestern, Oregon, and Washington. So you don't have Ohio State and Michigan in there whatsoever. Is that good news or bad news? If you want to know the 4 road games, Rutgers, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Michigan. That's the schedule. Now, they don't have the dates for the conference games. They do for the non-conference. So
that's about as favorable a Big Ten schedule as you could get.
It's better for Michigan State, especially. I would agree with you on that, Ben. Tim, earlier this week on your show, you asked Greg Ianni about if he felt like this was beyond fixing. And I think he mentioned that he felt like they could turn it around. You've been through the ups and downs. You've seen them turn the things around. How long does it take to turn something like this around?
Well, it's a different dynamic now because the college football world has changed. If this was in the D'Antonio era where all you did was recruit high school football players and then coach them up, and everybody else has got the same number that you've got, you might be able to do that with an occasional one transfer. But now it comes down to who do you pay and how much you're going to pay them, right? Who's leaving because they don't want to play for you anymore, and somebody else is going to offer them more, right? What happens to Nick Marsh after tonight? What happens to Aiden Childs after tonight? I don't know. I mean, some of these guys are going to get offered elsewhere. I don't know whether they'll bite or not. So to me, the they talk about all these coaching changes and that. All those guys that change jobs as coaches are going to want to know, like James Franklin of Virginia Tech, okay, what am I going to do to get players? Mm-hmm. I mean, my personality may be fine, but these guys are going to go where they're going to get paid. The guys that we need to compete at the highest level, okay? That, to me, is the enormous variable. And it's like the Maryland athletic director said. Loxley's coming back for his 8th year, and instead of doing a buyout and paying for another big coaching staff, the revenue we have is going to players. I get that.
Do you see MSU giving Jonathan Smith, if he comes back, will they open up the coffers for him?
Well, something's got to change. No matter what happens at the end of this year, something's going to have to change. Now, how much of it changes, all of that remains to be seen. And I think every school is somewhat restricted by what your budgetary issues are. They have budget issues over here massively, but others do too. I mean, for me to sit here and tell you exactly what's going to happen, I can't do that. I'd be speculating. Everybody else is speculating too, because they've been very tight-lipped about what they want to do. However, when we get to next week, you're going to start seeing what went wrong this year and what's got to happen in the future. I mean, you got to decide. Look, for a lot of these Big Ten schools, do you think it's easy that you're going to catch up to Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State? You think it's going to be, let alone Indiana? Mm-hmm. Those 5 right there. Everybody else, to me, is behind the 8 ball, and it's going to be tough to catch one of them, let alone 5 of them.
Sure.
So what are you all going to do to be able to make that happen, if you can even do it in the first place? It's a different world. It's a professional sport now. It's not get the high school guys and coach them up. Those days are gone.
Your thoughts on what happens after this weekend?
Yeah, again, it's all speculation, but I guess I just think Michigan State, you're never going to have the purse that the University of Michigan, USC, Oregon, Washington, even that all these schools have. You're never going to be able to buy. Really, I think of it as the best skill position players, right? Those are the guys going for the huge bucks, and even high school recruiting, right? You're never going to recruit the 4- and 5-star skill guys at the same level as the schools in your conference. So how can you find a way through that? Is you got to try to dominate on the lines in the portal. You got to try to find under-recruited offensive and defensive linemen and build this thing from the trenches, and it even in the new era of roster construction and player movement, coach movement, all these things, you can still, I think the right way to build this out is the old-fashioned way. Go invest heavily in your offensive, defensive lines, and maybe maybe you don't get the quarterback next year, but you put a product out there with the offensive line and an amount of protection that you can say to any quarterback in the transfer portal, we've got a great offensive line. You're going to come here. You're going to be protected. We'll block for you when we're running, and we'll have a good offense.
It's going to be as big a change from one year to the next all across the board in my memory in the history of Michigan State football.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
And it's because right now it's the lowest point
it can't get
of
lower.
Michigan State football in 40 years.
Yeah.
They haven't missed a bowl game in 4 straight years.
You realize
this
is the 73rd year of Big Ten football for Michigan State. If they lose tonight, they become the first of 73 teams to lose them all in the same season. They went 0-5-1 in 1958. They tied Michigan 12-12.
Michigan.
I was there.
I was there.
I was 9 years old, but I was there.
Tell me,
sitting right in the upper deck, and I thought none of these guys can make an extra point. And remember now, in those days there was no overtime, but they were 0-5-1.
Oof.
So if they lose tonight, no team in 73 years has ever lost every Big Ten game in the same season.
So do you guys think this is worse than 2002?
Well, I was 1 year old in 2002.
Oh, sorry, Ben. But Steve and Tim, 2002 was pretty bad. That was the Bobby Williams year where he got fired after the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Do you think this is worse than 2002? Because that was pretty bad.
I think it's pretty bad. I think it's bleak right now, and it's hard to say that, but it is. I mean, you're just calling it what it is.
I mean, I remember it well. I mean, they lost at Michigan 49-3, and then athletic director Ron Mason, they asked him, Bobby, in the post-game news conference, said, "You think you've lost your team?" And he said, "I don't know." And Ron didn't like the answer and fired him.
Yeah, off you go.
Okay, so now, but when you do that, Morris Watts took over. I mean, now he just played it out. This is not the only time there have been bleak times.
No.
Don't get me wrong.
You've been here through them.
I've been through a lot of bleak times. I mean, you weren't here in the 1970s when on the same day they fired the football coach, basketball coach, and athletic director all on a Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
And then went on. And in those days, when you went on, first of all, there weren't the bowl games then. So if you got on probation, you're not going to a bowl game, and there were very few then. And they had a Rose Bowl team under Darryl Rogers in '78, but they were on probation. And in those days, you take away scholarships, fire. I mean, probation meant something then.
Yeah.
Today, it's just kind of a figurehead thing. One way, well, you get fined more than anything else. But I just think college sports today are so different from what the mission was meant to be before all this money and all this television and all this social media got to where it is today, that it's just – and you can get – to me, you can get things that start bad and then just get worse. Yeah. And it happened elsewhere in the Big Ten this year. Wisconsin had this issue, right? Purdue's had this issue. I mean, things went. Penn State had this issue. UCLA had this. So it's not just Michigan State, because a lot of them are all in the same boat. They can't all deal with the financial components, in my opinion, of what it takes to be Ohio State this year.
They don't make it easy. But you know who does? Coors Light. Coors Light makes it look easy.
That's a segue that Tim would be proud of.
Well, the way
Time now for our Coors Light making it look easy play of the game. This combo was good for 2 touchdowns on the day for the Spartans. And here's the first one.
Ball on the Hawkeye 45. Milivojevic will go shotgun. He has Town Tolliver with him. Play action. Milivojevic sends one deep downfield. He's got Krishawn McCray wide open. Caught. Touchdown Spartans. Michigan State takes the lead with 8:58 to play in the third quarter. PAT coming, but it's 9-7. A 45-yard bomb from Milivojevic to big play McCray.
Thank you to Dalton Shetler and Spartan Media Network for the call. Throwing down the field and having the time to do so. It was in short supply for the Spartans, Tim, but in this case, McCray, the transfer who gets the least amount of pub, got free and got wide open. Ben, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when you think about sort of what you wanted to see from Michigan State's receivers when the season started, this is what you wanted, right? McCray's the guy, the smaller guy in the slot, making the quick cuts, quick routes at the line of scrimmage, but then also those deep fades like he ran last week against Iowa. And ideally you've got, Marsh and Kelly threatening the outside and McCray on the inside. And it was nice to see it. I was hoping to see a lot of that this season. He was the guy I was kind of higher on coming in among that class of transfers. I thought Kelly and he were two exciting transfers. It's good to see them make some plays. I wish we got to see some more.
I wish we would have seen more of Nick Marsh and more of Amari Kelly instead of 3 looks for a
You better watch him tonight.
Yeah, it might be your last
It might be the last time you see him for a while.
Oh, boy. This is that was the Coors Light making it look easy play of the game. Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. Choose Coors Light for the party. Time now for another break as the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show rolls along. He is the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt, moving to 9 to noon on 7:30 a.m. beginning Monday.
Yep.
He is Ben Shockley to my right. He is the future of WILX Sports and the weekend anchor. I'm Steve Goff, and this is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show presented by Price Right RV in our studios that are powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. We'll be back with more to chat about on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker, when we return next.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
Welcome back to the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker. We're in our mobile studio, actually not in our mobile studios, scratch that. I'm looking at old info. We're in our studios powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. I am Steve Goff, joined by WILX's Ben Shockley and the boss, the dean, Tim Staudt. Today marking the 16th meeting between Michigan State and Maryland in a series that began before Tim was born even, in 1944, with an 8-0 MSU victory. Spartans have a slight edge in the series, 11-4. MSU has won 7 times out of the last 10. And the last game they won was last season in September of 2024. Aiden Childs, another big game. You like this kid.
That got him to 3-0 because that you know why I remember that well? Because my son got married that day on Mackinac Island, and at the wedding reception, the game was down to the final few minutes, and it was close, and everybody's looking at their phone, watching on their phone the field goal kick that went in 27-25, and then you thought, oh, nice, State, Jonathan Smith, man, these guys are on their way. Just another big win for State, 3-0. This guy's got an 8-15 record with 2 3-0 starts to each season.
Yeah.
It's a little bizarre.
Can't talk about those.
They
didn't officially happen according to the scorebooks. What do you call those?
Vacated wins.
But you call them something
on field. I don't ever associate things called vacated wins. To me, if that happens, I just call them on field wins.
You still won. 363 yards. That's a big game. How in the heck did the offensive line protect? 194 of those yards to Nick Marsh. Then you had Nate Carter running for 63 yards, K'Ron Lynch-Adams for 53. That was an interesting two-headed monster we had last year. Jonathan Kim, a pair of field goals, and another nice win for Jonathan Smith's regime. When was the last time we saw passing numbers like that, Ben?
He hit a couple of big passes in that game.
Yeah, I think that game is the last time we've seen passing numbers like that.
He hit a couple of big look, Maryland felt they just let the game get away.
I think the second one to Marsh in that game was like a 75-yard touchdown, something like that.
Something like that, yeah, it was. There were some big plays State made in that game. And then Maryland missed a chip shot field goal that had they made it might have been enough to change things around. But go to the wire, it could be that way tonight.
And that was a Maryland program at the time that had some hype
coming
in early in that season.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then the bottom dropped out. Now, I ask you, Tim, with wins like that last year, what happened last year to make things go south?
I'm still kind of reeling from all the losses this year. They played tough teams. They played good teams that were better, that were better than And a lot of it was probably the same as there it is this year. They just did not have enough. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of mystery to a lot of this. I look at the 11 guys there and the 11 guys here, and those 11 are better than the 11 here. Then you get into the things about the coaching and play calling and injuries and calls on the officials and all that, and that all blends in. And it just, it went. Yeah, I mean, it just went south from there. But now remember when they started 3-0, Prairie View A&M was in part of that. A lot of that when you start out that well, who'd you play? Because a lot of the weak games, the cream puffs are at the start of the year, just like it was this year as well. Nobody would have thought Boston College was a cream puff, but, they came in today with one win, and that was over Fordham, and that was it. So that overtime win State got. What if that would have gone the other way? And they'd be 2-9 coming in here, right? Not that another win here or there when you're having a big losing season matters that much, but...
Well, it could change the trajectory of whether or not you're going to a bowl.
But I remember State's best teams up 10, 9, 11. They had NFL prospects. These guys they got chosen in the NFL draft. All these guys got chosen in the draft somewhere. How many of these guys are going in the NFL draft? Come on.
Eckley.
From the Hawkeye 45, Eckley will boot this one down the field high in the air. A lot of hang time. Bounces at the 6. The Spartans were there to stop it at the 1. And what a play is made there for Michigan State.
Yeah,
that's probably it.
He might be the punter, and as a punter, he'll go late if he goes at all. Now, if he doesn't get drafted, he'll free agent it into some summer camp one way or the other.
I would think.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Tim. I think the talent hasn't been there the last 2 years. But what are the expectations, though? What do you expect out of a Michigan State team? Do you expect them to perennially be 11-2, 12-1? What do you expect them to finish every year?
Everything I have right now is a question mark because of the changes in college football. To me, don't help Michigan State. It doesn't help them if they have to go outbid the teams that they play.
So, what do you think is acceptable? And you can answer this too, Ben. What do you think is acceptable? Should be acceptable to Spartan Nation as a finishing. Are we an 8-4 team and that's our identity? Are we a 7-5 team? Is that our identity?
I think right now, just given, I mean, it's been 4 years. I think right now the identity is 4-8, and I think until you change that in the record book, that's your identity.
Or unless, I mean, you realize. The students who enroll in 2022 in that fall and those who played in the marching band as freshmen will have gone through their college career and never went to a bowl game.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
And that's the first time in 40 years.
There's 9,000 bowl games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could fall out of bed anymore. I remember when the Mid-American Conference was happy if they get one team in a bowl game. Now, anybody in that league that gets 6, they're going some flea bag bowl somewhere to play at 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning in late December, but they're in a bowl game. Although that's another part of the future. Are these bowls going to survive? That's another part of the future that's just an enormous – everything that I have is a question mark.
They already – one of them, the Bahamas Bowl, is out, canceled.
Can't get sponsors. And you can't get players to play. That's the other thing. The players don't want to play. They think it's a reward. I always get a kick out of all these announcers on the air say, they just got their 6th win, they're bowl eligible. That just means they're a 500 team playing another 500 team in front of 10,000 fans somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and nothing's on the line unless you're betting the game.
Well, you have to ask, how much does the American public like college football and want it to continue and don't mind turning on a TV and watching
I think they like,
2 weird universities playing against each other that they never heard, but it's football.
I got to say, I love both.
Me too.
I mean,
they like the Ohio State-Michigan game. They like all the big games. They like the playoffs. They like the Rose Bowl. They like the games that matter. But a lot of these games, which is another issue as it is, when you get, if you can fall out of bed, you ought to be able to win 3 games if you could just schedule them right in the non-conference. Just get 3 cream puffs, beat them like Purdue did to start the year with a new coach. They beat Southern Illinois and they beat Ball State. Then they played in the Big Ten and they went to Notre Dame. There's 10 straight losses.
Yeah.
So you can see. I mean, until we talked about this the other day. Is it going to happen in the Big Ten? And would it be better if they schedule like the NFL? In the NFL, if you go 15-2 like the Lions did last year, the schedule the next year is going to reflect that. And if you go 2-15 like the Bears, whatever, look at the Bears results because they've had an easier schedule. The NFL wants everybody 9-8 and 8-9. That's what if the Big Ten did that? Whereas State and Maryland next year, their conference schedule, they wouldn't be playing all these. Then they'd have a chance to get back in it and compete. But whether that happens or not, there's a lot of people that make all these decisions, and it takes a lot of people to go along on the same page. And college sports doesn't have that. The NFL is a dictatorship, but look how it works for them.
Yeah, the NFL scheduling formula is absolutely perfect.
It's perfect.
It's absolutely
airtight.
Perfect.
Yep. I don't know why more people don't follow it. But the NFL is also a marketing genius, and that's how they work.
Well, the other thing with college football is they're going to get to the point whereby the playoffs expand, and sooner or later we're going to have to eliminate these non-conference games against the smaller schools. Like Saban wants all the Power Fours, play all the Power Fours, and a central scheduling agency says it would be fair for Michigan State to play this team because they're about the same, 1 year there, 1 year here, so that it balances out, so that all 12 games you play, if you're not going to play all conference games, which you could do, which would sell more tickets. Nobody wants to pay any attention to these It's worse than basketball, right? But in football, I mean, last year State played Prairie View A&M. Come on. Is that what they are? They're not. That's not what they are.
How good would it be if the Big Ten went to all 12 league games?
Which is what I've advocated
got
forever.
enough teams.
Yeah, nowadays especially. Yeah.
Or at least 10. 9's okay, but 10 would be better.
Well, this is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show presented by Price Right RV. Is there anything positive that you can take away from this season at all?
I still have my health in Week 12 that
Not
I did
you.
in Week 1.
Okay.
Oh, you mean State?
I'm talking about the Spartan program.
They've still got their health.
It can't get worse.
Yeah, well, it could.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, careful.
I think no matter how bad it gets, you're still beating Western at the start of the year. Whoever, to Tim's point, your cream puffs at the start of the schedule. No matter how bad it gets.
I think the bigger issue is what's going to happen to make it better. What's going to happen between now and next September 5th when they host Toledo? How is the whole program going to be better going into the year than what it evolved, this year? I mean, the expectations weren't high this year to begin with. I don't think anybody thought they wouldn't win a conference game.
No, I think everybody thought they'd at least go to a bowl game. I mean, if you ask any Spartan fan.
No, I didn't think that.
That was the expectation,
No.
the goal, to at least get to 6-6.
I mean, I didn't think that. I just didn't think they were good enough.
You didn't think they'd be at least 6-6?
No, I did not.
I didn't either.
Well, then you're right on par.
No. Well, I didn't think they'd be 0-8 either.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think they'd be 0-8 either.
I think the UCLA loss really raised alarms with
Good
a lot
point,
of people.
Brock.
Oh, yeah.
That, to me, was the biggest question.
Yeah.
I thought they'd lose to Penn State because I didn't think Penn State was nearly as bad as its record. Mm-hmm. And that I thought sooner or later their best players who are going to the NFL, they're going to show up one way, and they did. Finally, they lost their quarterback, which really hurt them, I think, and they really didn't replace him. But they had enough better players against Michigan State in the fourth quarter to wear them down, run the ball, and win by 18 points.
You realize that they could have, without a doubt, they could have beaten Minnesota.
Yes.
They could have beaten Penn State. They should have beaten Iowa. That is 3 games that right there, if you put those on their now they got 6 wins and they got 5 losses.
However, every team can say that.
Yes,
every team can say
I
there's
get
3
it,
or
but
4
legitimately,
games.
Michigan State is not as bad as the record indicates.
Well, I just would have liked to have seen Childs play healthy the entire year. I think he's flawed, but I think he's a very good athlete. And I think what he gave them in terms of his mobility running, which they don't have anymore. Everybody complains about their running game. Their best running game, in my opinion, was when he gets caught in the backfield, spins around, goes 19 yards out of bounds, doesn't get hit first down. And they lost that when he went out.
The problem with that is the offensive line can't keep up with him. They're not athletic enough to do so, and when he just decides to get a wild hair and take off and run, they can't block for him.
And they get holding calls.
And they get holding calls.
And he
Or
also
he fumbles.
took... Yeah, he has fumbled a lot, and he took some really bad sacks.
He's not.
You talk about the spin out, the the Shedeur Sanders spinning out of a sack every time, you're going to lose 15, 20 yards on those plays instead of a regular sack.
Emotionally, both these quarterbacks, it's got to be tough on both these guys. They can't have the confidence that quarterbacks at other teams have.
No.
Because, first of all, they have no running game. All right, so, the only way they're going to move the ball is if they can get a completion. And the only way that's going to happen is if they get enough time to throw it down the field. And that didn't happen against Iowa. The mystery to me is why Marsh this year didn't become a bigger threat than what he became.
Or where is he? Where is he now? They are not featuring him, and I get it. Well, he may be being double teamed. I don't know. At this point, you got Omari Kelly, you got Nick Marsh, you got Krishan McCray. Somebody's got to be open.
Yeah, I think Kelly doesn't do enough as a route runner to create separation, and so it's just not an easy read for a quarterback to try to hit him. I don't think, McCray's a smaller guy. Maybe he's harder to see. I really don't know.
Well, this would be where is there criticism to the coaching of these guys? Is this where this finally comes into play? You had guys that are athletic with speed. You had guys athletic with hands. This guy that caught 2 touchdown passes against Iowa, should he have caught passes earlier in the year? They did finally get him the ball, and he caught the ball. this is where the criticism comes on, why with the players we did have, we didn't take advantage of the talent they have. I can't tell whether Marsh, I don't know where he is with all of this. I would imagine he's very frustrated, and who knows who he's heard from, too. Because my guess is he might have been hearing from outside people about where you want to go, what you want to do, what I can get for you elsewhere, blah, blah, blah.
No doubt about it.
He's going to put up 1,000 yards for an SEC team next
somewhere.
Year. That's my prediction.
Interesting. This is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV, and I hope you're wrong, on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker. Wishing that stuff on us, Ben. Come on! Kickoff takes place tonight at 7. We're here till 5:30. Back to kickoff hour number 2 of the show of the Lansing Sports Network mobile studios, here in our studios, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Next.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
Welcome back to the Lansing Sports Network Tailgate Show, powered by Price Right RV on the Lansing Sports Network, Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker. Steve Goff along with Tim Staudt and Ben Shockley, Brock Palmbush keeping us on the air behind the glass in our studios, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Tim, let's break down the offensive and defensive keys to tonight's game, fueled by Ohana Asian American Sushi Restaurant and Bar. We'll start with the offensive keys. What things does Sparty need to do to take control of the matchup early today?
Well, let's assume that Alessio is going to be the quarterback. I don't even know if Childs, I don't know what his status is. They couldn't really tell you whether he was available to play last week. So let's assume Alessio is going to play. Look, you're playing a lesser team in Maryland, right? And frankly, I think the simple key is how bad you guys, it's a pregame, how bad you guys want this game. How bad you guys want to play tonight. This is our last chance. This is the last time we're all together. Some of us how bad do you want to play? I don't expect to see a lot of changes in their strategy, partly because did they think they can beat Maryland doing what they do but doing it better? And I would think they could do that. A lot of this stuff comes down to the exact same thing every game. Don't turn the ball over, all right? Which finally Iowa did a couple times. Michigan State turned it over right before the half had got away with it. But I didn't have a problem with that because at least they're trying to do something. Mm-hmm. And if you try to do something, you may turn it over. All right, then tell your defense, get it back for you, whatever the case may be. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot different from what they do. Occasionally they ran the ball well. Okay, can they run it better against Maryland and all that? I think their offensive key they've pretty well stayed away from a lot of dumb penalties. They haven't had a million turnovers in these games. Control the play if they can do it. And I think a lot of the ifs in this game is simply the caliber of the team that they are playing against, which is not as good as some of the others in whom they've lost. Now, I lump Maryland in with a lot of other Big Ten teams that to me, they're like Minnesota.
Are they that good?
I think Minnesota is average on a good day. Average.
Okay,
How they ever won 6
And you
games.
feel that Maryland is as good as Minnesota?
If that quarterback for them, Malik, this guy's got some serious stats. If Malik, and he gave Michigan trouble to start the game, and then Michigan kind of settled down.
Mm-hmm.
If he's on, so then State's going to have a hard time. I wanted to say to Iowa's offensive coordinator, have you seen these guys in pass defense? I mean, do you think you'll throw the ball past 5 yards once?
I can't believe they didn't light up the scoreboard.
I said, why are you not?
Kronowski can't throw the ball. That's
Yeah,
what I said
you said it last week.
But if you don't let him try, they wouldn't do it. They kept run, and they're not getting anything. Okay, so State's getting it back, and sooner or later State can hit a play because they kept getting the ball back. The only reason they threw late in the game is if we don't do it, we're going to lose anyway. They throw it down the field, and the guy goes for 165, 70 yards in the fourth quarter alone because they finally did it. Now, if I'm Maryland's offensive coordinator with who we've got, we're throwing the ball on these guys because they can't stop anybody in the secondary. I mean, so the defensive key is you better get some pressure on this Malik Washington. And he's got some good receivers, too. They've got some skill position players.
So that's what you think is the defensive key is just watch out for the quarterback.
Well, you better get some pressure on him because he's good, and he will throw it, and they want to hit big plays. That's a big part of what they do. I mean, I can't tell you what their offensive coordinator is thinking going into this thing, but it would seem to me if you watch the tape of Michigan State, they seem to be vulnerable in the secondary, and they get very little pass rush, okay? So now watch Maryland throw the ball 10 times.
10 times and run for 400
try to run
yards.
45 times for 50 yards. Watch them do that.
And I was impressed with Michigan State's run defense last week against Iowa. I was also impressed with the pass rush. Part of that just being that Gronowski held the ball forever. It wasn't, guys breaking through a tackle in half a second, but either way, they were able to make plays on the quarterback. I agree with Tim. I think pressure on the quarterback is going to be extremely important. But I think in addition to that, if you bring pressure, you need to leave somebody, a spy, maybe Jordan Hall and a spy, on the quarterback because he is dangerous with his legs. And, and if you bring pressure and you overcommit and you run past the quarterback in your pass rush, you're opening up running lanes for him. And that's one way that Maryland can make big plays, even if they don't have a guy open down the field.
Both of them have tended to get off to a reasonable start, and then they wear down in the second half.
Yeah.
So if they both wear down in the second half tonight, who ends up winning? I mean, I think a lot
Not
of
the fans.
I think when you have teams that are struggling like this, you are going to see some bizarre plays. Bizarre.
You have to ask yourself, why haven't they opened up the offensive playbook just a little bit? They continue to run the same plays over and over again, straight into the line, over and over. I just wish we could have seen a little bit, just open up, go deeper, and maybe they don't feel like they have the personnel. I don't know. But the offensive weapons, the athletic players on the field, there's no question. The three receivers, the three main receivers, you could argue that they go 4 or 5 deep on the wide receivers.
Well, you're not even mentioning the tight ends.
Not mentioning the tight ends that are good.
The tight ends had a big game against Iowa. It took them till Iowa to figure out that the tight end is right there, and they haven't used the tight ends, and they got 2 of them.
But they had all season to do this.
Yeah.
No,
both of those
it's a
tight
mystery
ends
to me.
Very good. I thought they were very good when they came in here 2 years ago, and like Tim said, it's basically been 2 years without using them.
Well, then fire the coach.
Those are your keys to the game, fueled by Ohana Asian American Sushi Restaurant and Bar. Hold on there, big fella. This is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show. Ben Shockley, Tim Staudt, myself, Steve Goff, and you. Now, our friends at Playa Bowls are this season's sponsor of our Drive of the Game, and there weren't many choices from the past week, and it certainly didn't take up more than 50% of a half a minute. It seemed like I felt like this quick touchdown drive for MSU was about the only drive of note.
Shotgun formation, 3 receivers to the left. Milivojevic on 3rd and goal, takes a snap, blitz coming, fires towards the near side. It's caught! Krishan McCray high-pointed it in the end zone. Touchdown, Spartans. What a catch from Krishan McCray, who now has 2 touchdowns today.
Thanks to Dalton Shetler and Spartan Media Network, was 11 plays, 80 yards, 5 minutes, 35 seconds. The Spartans do a great job of spreading around the passes and runs in this drive, 50-50 during the drive. But it took a while, and you kind of wondered, why can't they just do this all the time, Ben?
Yeah, no, it was a good drive. I mean, I think you see them try to do it all the time. The Michigan State, even when they get down in these games in the third and fourth quarters, down big against UCLA, some of these games in the past, they stick with the run. They continue to try to find that balance between run and pass. It just, to this point, really, and even at other points in the Iowa game, it just didn't really work. I mean, it's great to be balanced, and everyone wants to be balanced. Everyone wants to, have the defense not know what they're going to see. The problem is Michigan State's tried to stay balanced, and they can't run the ball and they can't throw the ball. So what does balance really do for you there?
But occasionally they do.
That's the problem.
Occasionally they do, and they tease you that way.
Yes,
but then they get away from it. I mean, they're wildly inconsistent. In my opinion, wild, because you think they can't play worse than this, and then they put a big. Well, for instance, the first play against Penn State, the guy runs 57 yards for a touchdoan. Game over.
Yeah,
that's it
you
for
think,
them.
hey,
then they're done.
Yeah,
that's it for the night. No more from that. I mean, now we're done. And I mean, they've had that. I mean, they're so wildly. That's why the game tonight to me intrigues me. I'm going to sit back. I had 9 people wanted me to go to that thing just so it would double the attendance. Okay, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to kind of lay back and grind, because both of these two they're both struggling, man. And it's going to be a tough loss for one of them. I mean, for one of them, this one, and for the other one, it's just, I guess this is better than nothing, one way or the other. But I think you're going to see a million bizarre plays in this game. The other thing is how many players are they each going to use? Because you could be using guys to try to keep them out of the portal. You could be using guys to try to keep them happy. You could be using guys to punish other guys who aren't playing well, but aren't playing hard.
And at this point, who cares?
Right? Well, there's not a lot riding on it unless it matters to the Michigan State players that you want to be a member of the team that had the worst record in Big Ten history for this school. And this school wants to be a football school, because it has been in the past. I mean, it's had great moments in the past, all through its 73 years in the Big Ten and prior to that. But I just think where the state of the game has gone now has kind of left them in the dust. And you can change the coaches if that's what floats your boat. You can change the assistants and all that. But to me, you got to change the players, too.
You think Jay Batt knew what he was getting into when he got this gig?
I've talked to him. The overall job, as he said to me, is murderously hard. The overall job, running the entire department in today's – I mean, they're massively in debt. They got a million problems with the stadium. They have problems with the concessionaire. They have problems paying off their debt. They have a lot of problems. Not the least of which is, what are we going to do with football? Because he was the first to say on the Tailgate Show he was brought in here to change football, to get football better. Do I think he's surprised they've lost every game in the conference? Yeah, I think he is. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
I mean, you might have thought they're going to be average, but lose every game?
He's very competitive. We know that about him. He's said that on the Tailgate Show.
I mean, he's my old man. I just spent quite a bit of time with him around the Penn State game and listening. He says it's a brutal job.
Yeah,
but it's a brutal job because your number one thing is to go find money. I mean, just to find money. And it's not easy. And it's not easy when you have no momentum either. True. Because everybody's telling you got the wrong guy. You're not doing this right. I'm not giving you. I mean, I know a number of donors, a number of them. Not the biggest ones, but a number of them. There isn't one who's told me they're giving them another dime, because they think they're stretched right now. And it isn't necessarily because they don't like the coach. They've been stretched to the nth to try to give money to the athletic department. Yeah. Now, there may be those out there I haven't met. I'm sure there probably are. But like he said, it's a brutally tough job.
Well, that was our drive of the game, presented by Playa Bowls. Seems like forever ago that we talked about it, but Krishan McCray's 5-yard touchdown catch. Grab your friends and dive into Playa Bowls, where the beach meets the bowl. Time for a timeout and weather update, courtesy of Feldman Chevrolet, as the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, brought to you by Price Right RV, continues from the warm confines of the Duckett Brothers Distributing Studios. Back after this.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
And we're back on the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, powered by Price Right RV. I'm Steve Goff, and with me is the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt, from the Staudt on Sports Show. And also from WILX, Ben Shockley is here. You can catch Ben anchoring weekend sports on WILX. Thanks for joining us once again, young man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can say that.
Call me young man.
I can't. It's the way it is. I'm in the middle of the younger generation and the older generation.
Well,
that's all right.
The old geese?
Yeah.
We have an old geezer in Durant.
That's nicer than what Fred calls it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Boy, do you have any stories that are airable that you can talk about? Probably not.
Airable? No.
No, I didn't think so. Well, taking a page out of the Jeopardy playbook, and this will mean more to you, Tim, than it will Ben. I mean, he doesn't come from this era of Jeopardy, but remember when they used to do the potpourri category, sort of a catch-all category?
Leftovers, potables, I guess.
Potables.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw out a few random topics to you. We'll start, Tim, with your thoughts on where things stand this season with college football in general.
Well, I think
what are your thoughts on the landscape?
It's a complete mess. There's
Why?
no question about because the money has changed the way teams can compete. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and until there's some kind of guardrails, in my opinion, on the transfer portal and the name, image, and likeness payment, until you get and you get some of these athletic departments out of debt or close to out of debt, this is just a runaway freight train, and it absolutely is not sustainable. And that's assuming there's no private equity running the Big Ten. The private equity, I agree with my oldest son, that will end the Big Ten Conference. 5-6 years down the road, it'll end.
You think it'll?
No, I don't think
it'll take that long. Or?
Well, no, that's how long it would be. And then, I mean, the California firm is not going to approve this without every school in it. Michigan, Southern Cal, Ohio State, and I think a few others are never going to go along with this. So that ends that problem. Why would Michigan State want to go along with a deal where we get $115 million and Michigan gets $190 million? Why would you agree to that?
100.
Why would any school agree to that? But wait a minute, those guys get more than we do. The reason is because private equity could care less about that. They want the marketability of those, and we're willing to give them that because the three schools in the Big Ten that have the biggest marketability are Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, whether you hate them or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it is.
Sure.
Yeah, it disappoints me to hear that Michigan State is seemingly, whoever's in charge of making those decisions seems to be on board with that private equity thing. I agree. It's a horrible thing for the conference, horrible thing for the sport. I think every time these firms want to stick their nose in something, generally it just ends up, you get all these added fees and costs and things of that nature, and it just muddies the waters. They're just in it to make a buck for themselves.
And Clearly is going to put the future of the commissioner, Tony Petitti, on the line with the Big Ten because they're going to have to decide if he's not acting in our best interest, and he has to think the same if there's no confidence in him. They got several schools on probation now. I just think he's got issues moving forward. What he's trying to do is bail them out now, and if there's a problem 7-8 years down the road, all of us will have been retired and gone. It's the next problem. But that doesn't solve the Big Ten. Michigan is never going to give up its control of its athletic department, and that's the way it would be with private equity. And I was going to say, like this is his business. He says, you think they care about whether the volleyball team or the wrestling team is in business in any of these schools? Those are all gone. They're getting their money back. And the way to do it is they're going to start cutting. And every decision they make will have nothing to do with the university's best interest. It'll be with their finance. They brought down any number of corporate. Toys R Us went down with private equity. And I just think his motivation is this is a quick way to bail some of this debt out, and then when it all comes due, we're all gone.
That's no fun.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. No matter what your opinion of the Big Ten Conference is right now, at the very least, the Big Ten Conference is looking out for the schools in the Big Ten Conference. If you
take this private equity deal. That firm is not looking out
No.
for the best interests of the schools or the conference as a whole. It's looking out for itself, and it's only looking out for itself and its shareholders.
How soon till it trickles down to the high school realm?
Well, Ohio just passed name, image, and likeness legislation this week.
A few states have done that.
A few states have done that now. Now, you can't imagine somebody giving a ton of money to a high school athlete. And frankly, my guess is it probably happens now anyway on a very rare basis.
Sure.
I don't think it's that big a deal per se, because how many high school athletes are worth a lot of money at a particular high school?
Yeah, it's not widespread. You've got like Bronny James, for instance,
Well, speaking of high school football, I did want to give a shout out to the DeWitt Panthers. As you guys know, I'm a big fan. That's my alma mater. Went to school there and graduated in '89. Class president, I might add.
And still a resident in DeWitt.
And still a resident.
Was it a close election?
You have no idea. Yeah, the first time it was a tie. We had to re-vote, and then I wanted a landslide.
What kind of campaign did you?
A pretty good one. And then when I was president, my senior year, I led a revolt against the lunch program because the lunch ladies wouldn't let us use ranch for our pizza.
So you didn't have to register to vote those days. So you had to sit out at school in a neighborhood.
I ran and said at the ballot, free ranch for all, and went to the school and talked to the lunch program directors and demanded and said, I got 120 kids that'll bring sack lunches every day if we don't free the ranch, and they did. To this day, you'll sit to can thank me for the ranch. There you go.
Well, it's another big day tomorrow. Let's deal with those 4 games. Got 4 really good games.
4 really good games, but you talk a lot about, you give him a hard time, Rob Zimmerman, about having all the assistant coaches and stuff like that and how he runs his program. But at the end of the day, do you think it's a good thing the way he runs the program and the way it trickles down to the younger athletes?
See, they are what they are because of the way they are.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to be that good, he to me is the Nick Saban of area high school football. And what I mean by that, he's incredibly organized. Mm-hmm. You don't waste any time. There's no mumbo jumbo. It's a big deal to him to be successful. Not that it isn't to others, but the way they built what they built's why they are where they are. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have school of choice.
Does it remind you of folks like Pat O'Keefe, who they built their programs over the years?
You had an iconic person, Herb Brogan of Lumen Christi. You got iconic personalities, and they were such a big deal at their school. They could fight off parents who maybe wanted to give them a hard time. Mm-hmm. These coaches you can't fight off if you got a problem. You can talk to them, but this guy, this guy's an iconic, legendary coach. And tomorrow they'll win tomorrow for you. Don't worry. They'll win for you tomorrow.
Taking on Mount Pleasant, in the 12:30 game, I believe, the second game tomorrow. Check out these stats. I pulled up these stats.
Oh, yeah, let's hear them.
Trav Moore, who is the area player of the year in the Lansing area, the quarterback for DeWitt. He's going to Central Michigan next year to be the running back. Trav Moore, 2,088 yards rushing, 29 rushing touchdowns. He has 870 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Not a lot of yards, but 72.5% completion percentage. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good right there. He is outstanding, and I'm telling you, this sophomore running back, Channing Ridley, who crossed the 1,000-yard plateau in the last game.
He's a beast.
He is going to be the man at DeWitt next year. If DeWitt can find a quarterback next year, and
they have one.
And logic dictates that they will, they'll be right back close to where they are now last year.
I have no doubt. They just reload. The JV team is excellent. The freshman team is excellent. I mean,
well, Steve, it goes right down to what, 4th, 5th grade?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all in it together. They are, and they learn the system.
That's exactly right. Exactly right, guys.
This is the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, the Potent Potables portion of the show.
Maybe we should call it the DeWitt Panther Tailgate.
Yeah, I know. Hence to the end of the show. Throw it in there. I get paid
because it's a little not a downer.
With the football program struggling, but the basketball teams and hockey team and other teams having success, does that do enough to keep Michigan State in good graces with Spartan Nation?
Well, those who like basketball and hockey, it does. There are other, but it doesn't move the needle. It just doesn't move. The football moves the needle. If you want the whole place all over, all those alumni, they don't know anything about the volleyball team, the soccer team, the rest. They don't know anything about all that. Those who do know, that's all fine and dandy. Even hockey, all right, because hockey's got a limited audience. Mm-hmm. Even basketball to some degree, although here it's a bigger deal simply because of the success that they've sustained over 30, whatever it is, years.
Tom Izzo's face is the face of the university.
That's the face of college basketball.
Yeah. So to that end, is that enough to...
No.
Boy, you don't think so?
Now, they've got a 75,000-seat football stadium. $58 million a year invested in football. They don't want to invest $58 million and then lose money over the deal. And when the football team does extremely well, a lot of the other alumni get on board in a variety of different ways. That was the president of Alabama when Nick was there. He used to say, yeah, we're paying him a lot of money. Do you know how much we've grown? And how our donations have come in, and how our school has prospered in other ways because of what we've done in football with him.
One person can make a huge difference.
And he did. Alabama said, we're getting a deal. What if he wasn't here? Okay. He said, because he's here, look at our enrollment's up, our donations are up, everything about the entire school is up because of what football has done here. And I don't think Michigan State's ever going to be Alabama, but can it get better than what it is? And that's what they're hoping for 2026 after 4 straight losing seasons, which has then not happened here in a long time.
Good stuff from Tim Staudt, Ben Shockley, myself, Steve Goff. It's time for another break as the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show rolls along. We will be back in just a few with more on Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talkin'.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
Welcome back to the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV. I'm Steve Goff, along with the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt, Ben Shockley from WILX, and Alixzandra Jyawook, listening at home. She was a big part of our show all year. She's on vacation. How does she get vacation, Tim?
Why is she at home?
I don't know. It's a short week for her, apparently.
So that's a staycation.
A staycation, yes. Yes, Turkey Day, as she celebrates at home. We appreciate her being a part of our show. And we appreciate Ben joining us today. It is time now for the G.L. Wilson Heating and Cooling Spartan Injury Report. G.L. Wilson Heating and Cooling in Lenox, because comfort, like football, is best enjoyed when everything runs right. Now, we don't have all of the injuries updated at this point, but they have been a big part of the Spartan, trajectory or landscape this year. Injuries.
Slide.
Yeah. Talk to me about the injuries that they've suffered.
Well, there's a lot of them, especially you look at the offensive, the defensive lines, and that was, we've been talking about the lack of protection for the quarterbacks this year, and that's obviously a big part of it is they don't necessarily have all their first teamers out there. What I thought was interesting coming into this weekend was just that I sort of thought this would be like a home game for MSU. They can just have their whole roster out on the sidelines. It's a neutral site game, and they can only bring that 74-man travel roster like they would have brought to Iowa City last week.
That's the limit, 74 for travel?
74.
It is 74. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So 74 Spartans, 74 Terrapins on the field tonight.
Aiden Childs is one of those, I can tell you that. Jonathan Smith made that clear earlier in the week, so we may see him on the field tonight. We may see him start.
If they're struggling offensively, I can't, and he hadn't played yet, I can't imagine that he wouldn't. I mean, I'm going down with my guy.
I know you seem to like this kid.
No. He's the lesser of two problems.
You're not saying you like him. Don't say that I like him.
I'm saying for what they have available, if it was me, I'm going down with him.
You can't go any. I mean, where else would we go?
But it's also. Does he have any future here? I mean,
no.
You're looking at this. I think you want to use this game as a chance to maybe get a look at some guys who you think possibly could have a future here, and I don't think Aiden does.
Okay, but if you're a coach and your job's on the line, are you auditioning a guy for the next coach?
Well, let me ask you this: if Jonathan Smith stays, does Aiden Childs stay?
No, I think he. Aiden, injury or not, essentially at this point in the season, he's been benched. I think Alessio's basically your starter at this point.
Stay tuned.
Well, but he will tell you, and maybe it's just to save face, but Coach Smith will say in the press conferences it's week to week.
Sure, it's week to week, and he's a team captain, and he, you singled him out as this is our QB1, our captain, our leader at the start of the year. The thing is, in college football, when a starter gets replaced in this day and age, that guy almost 100% of the time transfers. So that's just what I'm looking at. With it's nothing, personal about it, and I think he's a great guy. I do see him transferring just based on it seems like whether or not he's available at this point, the coaching staff is riding with Alessio. And so I think Aiden's.
Well, if they're winning tonight,
leaving.
Why would you change quarterbacks?
And if they win tonight, is one game enough to keep players from Michigan State on the team that may have been thinking about leaving?
It's not the primary issue. The primary issue is who's going to coach this team next year, and everything else will fall around that. Penn State's about ready to lose 8 million guys, okay, because some of them are going to go with Franklin to Virginia Tech. I mean, when you have a coaching change or even the thought of a coaching change, or if you're coming off a massive losing season, guys are going to defect. They're going to get out of here for one reason or another. Like I say, I'm with Ben. This is no easy fix. I mean, you can get Newt Rockne and Vince Lombardi to come over here and coach next year, but if you don't get better players, it doesn't make any difference. Izzo's the first one to tell you, you are who you coach. You have to have talent to work with.
And you have to have healthy talent. And unfortunately, Michigan State's list is a mile long in terms of players who are either out for the season.
19 guys were on the out list last week for the Iowa game. Their availability, we had a few questionable. If it's questionable, they're not going to play. I think they just put it down in a long shot. We might use this guy or whatever. I mean, I think Childs is probably available. And I think one of the intriguing things is what a state – Maryland's going with Malik Washington. He's going to go for the game. That's their guy. In Michigan State's case – I don't know what's going through these coaches' heads, too. What did they look at this game as? Do you think they're coaching tonight knowing they're all done? Or do you think they don't know that, and if we win tonight, maybe there's a hole? I don't know what they're thinking.
Well, do you think all of them should just scorched earth and be gone? I don't think
that's not my decision. I'm just saying that I don't know where their head is with this game either. Where is their head with all this thing?
Well, and how much do we, yesterday or earlier this week in the press conference, we heard Coach Smith say he hasn't been talked to about his future here. So I imagine if that's the case, then what he's doing is acting as if he's got to just pilot the ship as long as he's here.
Well, I don't think it sounds good for him that they have not addressed this publicly like Baylor did, Florida State did.
Maryland.
Who?
Maryland
did. And Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They all said, our guys coming back, we're going to get them better players. That's what their MO is. And I think all four of them have financial issues. Baylor does, Florida State clearly does. And Wisconsin, their attendance is down, but Michigan State hadn't done that. That means one of two things. We're just going to let this play out and then get rid of them because Brock, an issue on December 1st. Doesn't the buyout, the pay goes down if you change because there's another issue that he's not serving under the athletic director that hired him.
Correct.
That changes things too. There's some complexities to this thing moving forward. I don't think it sounds good for him that the university has not come out and said he'll be back, as the others have done.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound to me like that's an endorsement.
There's not a one-size-fits-all or fixes-all for this situation, but if you're Jay Batt, Ben, what can you tell the fans and donors at this point? Or what do you do?
I don't know. You know, I've never considered being an AD, but because
I'm going to put him on the spot right now.
It's a horrible. Tim was just saying what a hard job Jay was telling him it is, and it is. It's a horrible job because just in general, being an athletic director, I'm not saying Michigan State AD is a horrible job. Just in general, tempering the expectations of fan bases that if the Spartans don't go 13-0 and make the college football playoff next year, they're going to be fans that are disappointed. There would be Spartan fans that would be disappointed at a 10-2 season. So how do you satisfy an appetite that can't realistically be satisfied? Because this team's not going. If everything goes perfectly in the offseason, if Smith gets everybody he wants, everything goes to plan, I don't see them winning more than like 8 games next year. That's perfect.
I don't see anything close to that.
No.
I mean, I agree with Ianni. I think this is a young man's job. I think you're looking for – I've always felt this. You're looking for someone on their way up, not on their way down. So all those name guys, they've been at the top. Why all of a sudden is that going to transfer to Michigan State success when they had success at other schools where victory is more available, if you will? Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is, but I think you want somebody who's so doggone hungry on the way up. I don't know, and I think it's younger rather than older. Man, you got to have a lot of energy, especially in football. Izzo's got to he gets 3 or 4 guys, all right? Football's got to get 40 guys.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. That's just hard to do. And football is a big deal to all the other 17 schools in the Big Ten. They're all trying to beat you, too. So, this is, as I say, in my opinion, this is no easy fix. And I get a kick out of some of these message boards and fan lines and social media that say, go hire Urban Meyer. Oh. Go hire Pat Fitzgerald. Go hire James Franklin. Go hire Brian Kelly. Those guys aren't going to come in here and turn this thing around. They've been to the top. This is on the way down. You want a guy that's on his way up to prove I'm a great – like you want Cignetti, but younger.
Right.
His coach at James Madison is 47 years old, and they've only lost 1 game, Bob Shepler. I don't know that he's necessarily a guy. I think the guy amongst the assistants that's going to get a heck of a lot of notice is Brian Hartline at Ohio State.
I agree with that.
Because he's on his way up. Now, if you hire him, you're going to run the risk that when the Ohio State job eventually comes open, would he want to go back there? I don't know.
Bob
that.
Chesney is the guy's name.
Or
Bob Chesney, not Shepler.
47 years old. Chesney is at James Madison. He's the guy that they brought up when Cignetti left for Indiana.
And they're like 10-1 right now and has an outside chance to get into the college football playoff.
Well, I know that I know UCLA's looking at him. And Penn State, look, the media can speculate on it. Until these guys are all hired, then you can speculate on anything. But if Michigan State's job's open, I don't see them going to $50-60 million for some guy. And plus the staff.
Yeah.
Plus you got to pay off this staff. Plus you got to pay off Jonathan. They're still paying off Oregon State the $3 million they owe him to get this guy. I mean, look, Michigan State hasn't exactly been a number one in some of these contract signings across the board in a variety of coaches, in my opinion, besides football. But it is what it is. And Jay Batt, he inherited all of this when he walked in the door.
Not an easy task ahead for anybody in the Spartan Athletics Department, including Coach Smith and Jay Batt. Time for another break as the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show rolls along. Steve Goff with Ben Shockley and Tim Staudt. It's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in our Duckett Brothers Distributing Studios. Back with more and some final picks next.
Back now, it's the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV in the remote broadcast booth, powered by Duckett Brothers Distributing. Here's Tim Staudt, Steve Goff, and Alixzandra Jyawook.
Back with you on the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show. It's Steve Goff along with Tim Staudt, the Dean of Sports, as well as the future of WILX Sports, Ben Shockley. Maryland in our sights tonight at 7. MSU could really use a victory to close out this extremely difficult season, and today might be their best chance to achieve that. Tim, have you any faith in the Spartans tonight?
Yes. Against this team, yes.
They're actually favored What are your thoughts on this game?
27-17 Michigan State.
27-17.
Write it down.
And how do you feel that's going to unfold? What do you think's happening in this game tonight?
I think they'll score 3 touchdowns and kick a field.
2 field goals.
And 2 field goals. I think they'll score
That's
3.
good math.
How do you feel about overall the vibe of this game, and what do you expect to see
First
from
of all,
the Spartan
the
players?
one that gets off to a good start is going to get a little bit of adrenaline because, man, we could win this game, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get off to a good start because I noticed that against Iowa. They got off to a decent start in that game, all right? I mean, they were behind, but they hung in. Man, we're ahead of this game, you know? And you can just say the way the players' body language is, man, they're patting each other, they're into it. They're running off the field, running on the field. And now, if they get behind 14-0, that takes a little out of you, especially because this is it. Like I say, I don't know what's in these guys' heads, and I think they're all individual. Some guy might say, I could care less, I got to be down here. Other guys say, I'm not going out without giving it absolutely my best. Mm-hmm. And others might say, I got to put on a show for somebody because they might be in the – I mean, I think everybody's different, including Maryland. They're the same way.
Right.
The only thing is the Maryland players are auditioning for the Maryland coach because he's going back. So they're going to be that quarterback. He's going to be back there. They are going to pay him. At Washington, whatever hope they got next year at Maryland, they do have a quarterback. I don't think Michigan State does, but Michigan State's got so many questions. This is one game, one night. It's not going to be a big boisterous crowd and all that. So to me, it comes down to your individual athletic determination on either side. How much does this mean to me in a game like this? If you had a determination you're playing Ohio State, it wouldn't make any difference because they're better than you are. You can't beat them. They're better than you are. But in a game like this, both of them, you talk about no respect. State's lost 8 straight, and Maryland's a 3.5-point dog.
Wow. Well, that might be enough to fire.
They're playing a team that hasn't won a game in the Big Ten, is off to the worst start in 73 years of league play, and State's favored. Yeah. So it's been a rough year for Maryland, too.
And Maryland is bringing their
coach
back.
The weird part about it, I watched their entire game. They opened the Big Ten at Wisconsin. This was before everybody's reputation. They crushed Wisconsin and Madison 27-10 and looked really good doing it. Mm-hmm. Really good. They're 1-0. And since then, they've lost every game. Now, some have been close, all right? They've had some close games, too. But, sometimes they just haven't been able to get out of their own way. I thought they played Michigan better than the 45-20 score last week. But what that does, I think all bets are off tonight, which is why it's going to be fun to watch, I think, because who knows what you're going to get out of all these guys.
Like a box of chocolates. Ben, your thoughts?
I don't believe, maybe I should, but, I mean, what have the Spartans shown to make me believe this season?
He's a little down.
He sure is.
He's a little down.
Maryland hasn't really shown anything either, but I like their quarterback more. I think he's the best quarterback on either roster.
That could be the difference.
I'm going to go, let's go 31-23 Terrapins.
Ooh.
J-Bat has a little meeting with Jonathan Smith on the field in the end zone.
Wow.
And
I hope that if that happens, I kind of hope they televise it.
Go, Ben, keep telling the story.
It's like you're Herman Edwards.
That's the prediction.
Can we stick a microphone in there? They got all these on-field reporters. Let them earn their money. Go do something.
Owen's shooting the game. He'll be right there in the tunnel to get the shot.
He'll be encouraging shenanigans, I guarantee.
Do you think yes or no? I'll ask a question. Do you think yes or no Jonathan Smith knows his fate or not?
I think he does.
Okay, I would agree.
Yeah, I think he does.
It might be that he's coming back.
Yeah,
that.
I also think he's playing it close to the vest.
Yeah,
which he should. I mean, it's.
Oh, what else can you do?
Well, that's a wrap. Oh, I'm going to say 24-21 Michigan State, and DeWitt's going to win.
You say that
tomorrow.
Every year, every week, 24-21.
Twice
Michigan State.
I picked against them last week.
What if they were playing DeWitt? Then who would you pick?
I'd probably pick DeWitt at this point. And that's a wrap for the Lansing Sports Network Spartan Tailgate Show presented by Price Right RV. Lots to soak in. It's almost time for kickoff. I want to thank my co-host, the host of Staudt on Sports and the Dean of Sports, Tim Staudt. WILX is Ben Shockley. And, of course, Alixzandra Jyawook. We miss you, buddy. Brock Palmbush rocking the ones and twos behind the glass. Engineer Tim doing great work with our social media. Look for Lansing Sports Network content on Facebook, YouTube, X, and more. Give us a follow. I'm Steve Goff, and I'd like to shout out all of our sponsors for making this season's shows possible. Michigan Graphics and Signs,
The Meridian Company,
Beggar's Banquet,
Tailgaters Duncan Sunoco,
Jersey Mike's in Okemos,
Uptown Cheapskate,
The Nut House,
AC Hotels by Marriott,
Lansing Brewing Company,
Carpet Studios Flooring America,
Harrison Roadhouse,
Blue Sky Painting,
Chandler's Top Shelf,
Coors Light,
Groesbeck Golf Course,
Ohana Asian American Sushi Restaurant and Bar,
Duckett Brothers Distributing,
Pliables,
Schupan Recycling,
GL Wilson Heating and Cooling and Lennox.
You're a Natural Ben, Feldman Chevrolet, and of course Doug and his team at Price Right RV for their support all season long. Now, stay tuned on the Lansing Sports Network, Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ and 1240 WJIM, Lansing's Big Talker, for the Spartan Media Network's pregame coverage of MSU versus Maryland from Ford Field. They'll take you all the way up to kickoff at 7 with Will Tiemann on the sidelines, Dalton Shuttler as your host, and George Blaha and J.U. Kalkrick in the booth. And until next time, for all of us at the Lansing Sports Network Tailgate Show, presented by Price Right RV, go green.
Go white, Steve.